for the introduction and for having us today. And, once again, giving us a great opportunity to be here today. So good morning, everyone. Sorry for the wait, and thank you all for joining us and welcome. My name is Nazanin and I'm the Assistant Branch Manager. Sonia, if you can go to the next slide. As Sonia mentioned, that we work very closely with ACCES Employment as we share the same vision and the value and passion for the newcomer communities, and we really value this partnership. So we are very excited to be here today, and the topic is preparing for your job search and virtual interview. I know like moving to a new country is a major life-changing event. And there's so much to learn, so much to do. And that's why we are here today, to provide you some tips and guidance to help you for your job search journey with confidence. So as Sonia mentioned, we have a very special guest today. We have Abdullahi Lawan, Assistant Finance Manager from JHR, who is a newcomer himself. And he is here today to share his journey as a newcomer. And we're gonna hear from him very shortly. We also have Jeff Rice, our Community Branch Manager, and Ria Ragbir, our Banking Advisor, on the line with us, and I'm going to introduce them very shortly. So on the next slide, I'm going to talk about the agenda and what we have for you today. We've heard from Sonia already. So first, we're going to have our Community Branch Manager, Jeff Price, to welcome from RBC. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about RBC value and purpose. And we are going to introduce RBC Markham Meeting Place where we work. Next, we're going to get to the main presentation, including 3 parts. So I will be presenting the job search strategy, and Jeff going to share great tips and advice on how to rock your virtual interview. And next, Abdullahi going to share his newcomer success story, and we're going to have a great panel discussion with Ria and Abdullahi, and as they have a lot to offer and deliver today. So it's going to be lots of takeaways. So, and at the end, so we're going to get into the Q&A. So please feel free to enter your questions into the chat box. All right, so as I said, on the next slide, the first person I would like to introduce is our Community Branch Manager, Jeff Rice, who is also very passionate about the newcomer community. And that's why he's here today. He's actually on his vacation, but he volunteered to participate today. And thank you so much, Jeff, for that. So Jeff is also responsible for one of the largest branches in Markham, Highway 7 and 404, as well as RBC Markham Meeting Place. And he has an 18-year career as a banking professional and a leader with a strong passion for helping his client and employees achieve their goals. So thank you so much, Jeff, once again for joining us today. And I just pass it over to you for a quick hello.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Nazanin. Thank you, Sonia and ACCES, for the opportunity to be here this morning with you all. I know I'm on vacation, but I'm very excited to join this event. This is one of the really, really good ones. I do want to thank Abdullahi for joining us this morning as well. And of course, Ria and Naz for all the work that you guys do behind the scenes to make these presentations and events go so well. So thank you. I'll cut it a little bit short in the interest of time due to the technical difficulties.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jeff. We're going to get back to you soon. And then the next slide. So before we get to the main presentation, I want to very quickly talk about the RBC purpose and value. So the purpose is helping clients thrive and communities prosper. And our vision is to be among the world's most trusted and successful financial institution. So RBC has around 80,000 employees. So we're all guided by one set of values. So client first. We always earn the right to be our client's first choice. The other one is collaboration. We always work as one RBC. So accountability. So we take our ownership for personal and collective high performance. Diversity and inclusion, because we embrace our differences and we include our differences. And that's why make us such a strong organization. And the last but not the least is integrity. So we hold ourselves to the highest standard to build trust. And now I'm gonna just hand it over to Ria to say a quick hello and also introduce RBC Markham Meeting Place. Thank you, Ria, over to you.
Thank you so much, Naz. Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for being here and for joining this wonderful collaboration with RBC and ACCES Employment. I'm really, really excited for this event. Events like these are what makes my job so fulfilling because we really get to be present in the community just to create the awareness, and especially because we get to work with organizations such as ACCES Employment, because we get to empower the newcomers with events such as these and provide all our knowledge and tips that we have that we can share with you guys. And also because we have a great support team our core team, who you have everyone present today. On our next slide, as you can see, we have Jeff Price, we have Nazanin, and myself. However, in our next slide, we have an extensive support team varying from different branches, different departments, regions, because we all share the same purpose and the same value of wanting to give back to the community. And then this is all possible with our community partners. On our next slide, we're so grateful for them because we're so proud to have partners, especially like ACCESS Employment, who's one of our key partners throughout this journey. Together, we can reach and have those meaningful connections to make a greater impact in the newcomer community. And since we opened our doors early 2019, on our next, there's a few clips of events that we've had, these in-person events since we've opened our doors in January 2019, to be exact, just to create the awareness through these events and our community involvement. And these are the ones that we've had since conception. And since if you fast forward a little bit, March 2020, we've taken our reach digitally, just like we are here today and working from our phones today due to difficulties. But we were still able to create the awareness and be present in the community. So thank you all for being here and for your participation. So now we'll get started with the main event.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ria. So Sonia, you can go to the next slide. So let's get to the main presentation that I know you are waiting for. So the first part of today's session is about 5 job search strategies. So Sonia, I think you need to click like enter. Yes. And these simple steps goes a long way, and it will increase the chance of getting interview, and it will make that transition from applicant to a viable candidate. And here are the five job search strategy. So on the next slide, let's start with the first one. So be selective with your search. Before you send the application, it's important to know what you want to do, what you can do, and you need to understand your skills and interests and know what type of work you're looking for. Sonia, if you can also enter. So one of the keys to successful job search is knowing what makes you a unique candidate and communicating this effectively to a prospective employer. So before you start applying for a job, so you should narrow down your search to jobs that are just right for you, and even narrow down your targeted companies. I know, when you are browsing or searching for the jobs, you might be attempted to send out an application to anything or anywhere, but when you are not selective, so you may waste your time and energy by applying to a lot of places. So focus your job search on positions that you feel excited about and the companies you really want to work for. This will help you feel confident about the position when speaking to the hiring manager. So your passion for the role will also come across in the interview and increasing the likelihood of being hired. So the next one, customize your application. So on the next slide, so it's important to take time to write a targeted resume and cover letter that is specifically link your qualifications criteria for the jobs you're applying for. The hiring manager will be able to immediately see why and how you are qualified for the job, and you will have a much better chance of getting an interview with a targeted resume, than if you send a generic one. So when you find the jobs that you want to apply for, it's really important to use some of the keywords from the job posting in your resume and highlight the critical skills that the role need and leave out just whatever is not relevant. For example, if you're applying for a client advisor role at RBC, just focus on your customer service skills. Some of the job postings are not required a cover letter, but try to include a cover letter when you can. I understand that it's not easy to write a new cover letter every time that you're applying for the job, but if you can do that and customize your cover letter, it will definitely help you market yourself a lot better. And, a lot of times you can't really write everything on your resume. So some of the things that you've missed out on your resume, you could incorporate it to your cover letter. So next one is about, on the next slide, invest in yourself and learn in new skills. This is also important. Learning and exciting new skills related to your profession can improve your resume and also your confidence, because you will learn about new opportunities, and you will also be able to enhance your own resume and show the hiring manager that personal and professional growth is important to you. So there are so many free online courses out there that you can sign up for free. So just do it and include them into your resume. And the next slide, so finding jobs through your network. I cannot stress enough the importance of networking, because you may know like more than 70% of jobs are filled through networking. So networking, of course, is one of the most effective job searching strategies, because the more formal and traditional way of hiring is either posting it on the like online or on the like a job search website, but networking gives you access to the hidden or informal job market. So let's say, for example, when your friend like connect you directly to his boss, so this means that you are now one step closer to landing a job that you even didn't know the job exists, right? So you received the information before it even became formal. So that's why networking play a very important role in your job searching. And as I said, many jobs are not posted, and you need to access these hidden job markets by learning to network and build relationship with professionals. Now you may ask like where you can start your networking. So so you've already started by attending today's webinars. So employment agencies, like especially ACCESS Employments, provide all kinds of services to help job seekers build connections and equip them with knowledge needed for the job searching in Canada, like throughout their programs, like events and training. So you get to know a lot of employments, and you can also participate in programs like mock interview, mentoring activities. And a lot of times, the connections you build through this will also help you connect with the future job opportunities. Or for example, another way to build your network is through volunteering, or information interview is another way. Like you can request information interview with employers or hiring managers of the roles you're interested in. Or another way is through your community. A lot of community events are also a great opportunity to network, or also try to leverage your current relationships. So you're probably familiar with the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? So the more relationships you have, the greater the likelihood of a referral for a job. And lastly, social media. So never underestimate the power of LinkedIn. So for those of you that, you're familiar with the LinkedIn, so you already know how great is that. So now on the next slide, I'm gonna talk about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. So LinkedIn, as you know, is a social network for a business community and founded in 2003. And today, most recruiters, talent acquisition specialists, hiring managers, and even HR professionals are looking to LinkedIn to learn more about you beyond your traditional resume or cover letter. So ask yourself, like, what does your LinkedIn profile say about you? Or how do you want the potential employers to view you and view your brand? I can tell like 2.5 million people on LinkedIn are hired through their connections every year. And that's a big number, right? Yes, it is. So don't just apply to jobs. So try to connect to jobs on LinkedIn. So, like regardless of how the hiring manager first learn about you, so most likely they are checking out your LinkedIn profile like before deciding to invite you for the interview. And so many things that so you may think that your profile is similar to resume, but there are big differences between your LinkedIn profile and your resume. And you cannot just think of LinkedIn as a place to copy paste your resume, because your LinkedIn profile will speak to all potential employers, not just a single one. And it goes into much more details and skills like projects you've done, interests, certifications, and much more. And your profile also allows other professional employees to interact with you and learn more about you. It also includes like recommendations and endorsements you can obtain from your connections. So if you don't use the LinkedIn, I highly encourage you to, at least go and create your profile. And if you have already created your profile, so make sure it's updated. So, and another good things about the LinkedIn is that on your resume, your cover letter, you are actually limited to the page, or limited to the word. But on LinkedIn, you can write as much as details you want, and that's how you can showcase your full employment history along with your skills. And so other things that I can suggest you regarding the LinkedIn is to join at least 3 LinkedIn groups. Like by joining to LinkedIn groups, so you will have access to the job listing posted for the group members and more people, of course, to network with. So there are so many LinkedIn groups that, that can help you with your job search, like job search group, company groups, or alumni groups. And in order to find those groups in the LinkedIn, so you can easily search the groups directory on LinkedIn. So you can reach the directory by clicking on groups under the interest tab for the groups that related to your industry or to professional interest. And one final way to make your profile page look sharp is to have recommendations. Like you can ask the former colleagues or managers to write up a short recommendations. You can also write up like recommendation for other people. Like not only it will show up in your profile that you will give a recommendation, but it's also nice, and helpful things to do for other connections. So, like these simple steps that we've discussed will help you to increase the chance of getting interview. And now when it comes to the interview, I wanted to lean on Jeff Price's expertise on the next slide to talk about the tips and tricks for the virtual interview. I had my first virtual interview exactly a year ago with Jeff Price, so that's why I'm here. That's how I got the job. So now I would like to hand it over to Jeff to talk about how you can rock your virtual interview. So thank you, Jeff. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Naz. So virtual interviews are really becoming, a lot more popular. They're really becoming the norm now, especially over the last year and a half with COVID. As we continue to evolve to meet the needs of employees and employers and make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that people are safe. Professionals who are or will be navigating the job market are bound to encounter this type of video meeting, similar to what we're doing today. And they want to make sure that you have the necessary steps done in order to prepare yourself. Nearly 75% of the executives or hiring managers use real-time video to interview candidates now. And so we're here to review the best ways to be successful in your next virtual interview. And, to Naz's point, we did a virtual interview a little over a year ago, and Naz is actually in the exact same seat she was in that day. So you can see what her background and everything would look like, which we're going to cover. But, she's exactly where she was at that particular moment when we did that interview. So next slide, please, Sonia. So what you want to do before the interview is, first thing is test your technology. Tech issues are bound to happen. We experienced it today, so it does happen. But if you can test your tech ahead of time to ensure that you're set up for the success, make sure you've got good internet connectivity, confirm that your camera and your microphone are working. If the picture is grainy or you're experiencing an echo, you might need to buy a mini webcam with a built-in microphone, which is hard to do when you're doing it 5 minutes before. One thing for myself I'll share is you can see I've got earpods in. I found this was a huge advantage in terms of me being able to be better heard, as well as for me to hear the events and different meetings that I was in a lot better. So the vast majority of the time I've switched over to earpods. Makes a big difference. Make sure you're logging in early. Very important. Don't be late. Even today, we had some text, but we were logged in 20 minutes before, trying to work through those. If we had logged in right at the last minute, we would have been way late. So thank you for your patience on that. But you don't want somebody to be sitting there on the other end, kind of waiting. And imagine like when you drive or you take transport to the interview or the site, you would typically want to arrive like at least 10 to 15 minutes ahead of time. So that you would have time to kind of prepare and be ready for it. So if you draw, the same line for the interview world, it's always a good idea to arrive, a minute or two early, maybe not 15 minutes early like you would in person. So that even if you have to wait in the lobby for somebody until they admit you, that's perfectly fine. It actually is a good thing to do, I would say, from something I look for. Keep your virtual identity professional. In today's digital world, your email address or your username is often your first impression. So don't give the hiring manager a reason to question you about your professionalism before they even meet you. But by providing something, it might have been once hilarious when you were in high school, it sounds like a funny thing back then, but maybe not be the best thing from a professional perspective. Keep your email and your new usernames as simple as possible. Hard to do when there's a ton of email addresses out there, but as simple as you can keep it is better. Try different combinations of your first, middle, and last name, or leverage industry keywords if you're stuck, and avoid utilizing symbols and the numbers 1 and 0, which looks like letters depending on the font. Sometimes zeros can be very hard to tell from O's and 1s and L's. So keep that in mind. Dress for success. Protecting your professionalism goes beyond just your username and your address, email address. For virtual meetings, dress as though you're preparing for an in-person interview. Also avoid any overpowering patterns, flashy accessories, so as not to divert the employer's attention from your expertise. You really want the focus to be on you and your skills and capabilities and your experiences, not on what you're wearing or what's in your background or anything like that. You should be focused on the interview and not your wardrobe. So you want the interviewer to be doing the same thing. So dress as you would for an in-person interview. For men, that might mean a button-up shirt, blazer, and khakis or something. While women, maybe a dress, skirt, or blouse, whatever you would consider to be professional. Even today I am on vacation, but I'm still wearing an RBC shirt because we want to represent the right way. It'd be easy for me to come and say I'm on vacation, wear a hat and a hoodie, but that's not really a professional look, right? Choose a proper background. So as you can see from the backgrounds we've got here, pretty generic, nothing too crazy. These are live examples, but you could also use a virtual background if you don't want to show your house or where you're sitting. You might have a blur if you do use a background, so you want to make sure that you're testing that stuff out ahead of time. Or you can just put up a white background, which is totally fine. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to put up like a vacation background. Last thing you want to do is go on an interview and have it look like you're sitting on the beach. Sounds like a great idea. I'd love to be sitting on the beach, but probably not what you want to be portraying as part of an interview. So you kind of want to have a fairly neutral background as a whole, or something that's a little bit more on the professional side. Limit your distractions. So the best place to have an interview in your home is a quiet location with very few distractions. Choose a room that's clean, professional looking, so the interviewer can focus their attention on you and not what's around you, as I mentioned before. If you don't have a dedicated office space, which a lot of people don't, you can also use a bedroom or a guest bedroom, your kitchen table, cleared out closet space. Try to place your computer somewhere on a table or a desk instead of on your lap or a couch. If it's on your lap, it's going to be moving around, and people can see if you're on a couch. So probably not the background that you want to have when you're trying to be professional. Make sure you're ready for those common questions that are going to have. A lot of employers, regardless of the industry, they're going to ask a lot of similar questions. Why are you interested in the role? What do you know about the company that you're applying for? What are your biggest weaknesses? What do you consider to be your biggest professional achievement? Tell me about a challenge at work that you've dealt with and how you handled it. What are you looking for in this new position? Why are you leaving your current role? These are all very, very, very common questions that you'll uncover. When you're going through it, you do want to practice, but you don't want to make sure you're not memorizing as well. Preparation is absolutely important. You need to know about what you're applying for, the organization you're applying for, but you don't want to come off as scripted either. So you don't want to memorize it. The key to a virtual interview, like any other one, is going to be proper preparation. But just make sure that you're sitting down, you're ready to go, you've got the information ahead, you've kind of in your head thought about what are the questions that I might be asked and what are the answers I might have. One great advice that I know some people have done is, practice with a partner, do a role play, a friend, a family member, do something like that. Get some practice in there, and that will definitely help you as you go into the interview. There's also, for RBC Beyond Banking, we also have a app called Prep, which will help with a little bit of that. And you don't want to sound robotic through the interview. So whether you're, answering or asking questions or giving your elevator pitch, it's really easy to tell if you're being genuine or if you're just reading a script. So it's a good idea, like I said, to run through practice rounds with a friend or family. Gives you a chance to rehearse with different personalities and answer a variety of different questions. Ask them to be tough on you, because that will make you better prepared. And then when you get into the real thing, you'll have a really good chance of being successful. But ultimately, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't feel like you have to give really long-winded answers if the question doesn't warrant it. Keep it simple is a really good kind of thing for life. I know I say a lot around the office is, let's simplify things. But be clear and concise, with what the question is. And that's probably one of the most important things. If we go to the next slide. So during the actual interview, you want to be yourself. A key task for a recruiter is determining whether you'd be a good fit for the company's culture. I know when I'm hiring, that is something I am very much looking for is the personality, who are they? Is it a very scripted answer, or am I getting the real genuine person? Because we want the genuine person. We want to know who we're talking to. And this can be challenging during a virtual interview because there is that physical disconnect. It's not the same as sitting in an office, across the table, or if there's no table, but just sitting in a office and having that conversation, because you don't have that. So it's going to be more difficult for the interviewer to understand your enthusiasm through the screen. So make sure you are being expressive with your answers when you're answering. You want to be able to show a little bit of that. They'll be able to tell, if your vibe kind of fits the company usually right off the bat. So you want to try to show some energy in these. It's really easy to sit in a virtual interview, especially, and just be, very, monotone, not a lot of energy, because you're talking to a screen. But if you can kind of display a little bit of who you are as part of that part of the interview as well, that's a very, very good thing. Show your interest with your body language and your posture. That's always a big one, whether you're in person or you're in a virtual one. Obviously you can't shake a hiring manager's hand in a virtual interview. And even in a real one, we may not be shaking hands for a very long time. So you want to think about, different ways that you can exude that enthusiasm on a video. The way you tell a story, the way you answer a question, those are going to be all part of that. And definitely monitor what your body language is, right? If you want to try to be engaged in the conversation, you want to make sure that they can see that, versus kind of, lean back, slouching, stuff like that. And the main way to communicate that confidence is sit up straight, smile, keep the camera at eye level if possible. So you can focus on the camera when you're talking as much as possible, rather than, having to focus on something else. And definitely watch your pace. It's easy to talk really, really fast because you're nervous or anything. You want to kind of keep that pace, as consistent as possible, not too slow, not too fast, just right, kind of like Goldilocks. But you want to try to find a way to do that, but also insert a bit of your personality, as we mentioned before. And when you're asked a question, make sure that you're listening first and then answer the question. If you need to take a second to think about how you want to answer, that's totally okay. I think a lot of people don't realize that, but it's okay to take a second and think about the answer. What you don't want to do is just rush into an answer and then it'd be completely something different than what they were looking for. So if you need a second, especially you might have a challenge depending on the level of your language skills coming from different places. Take a second. If you're not sure of a word that's asked, I just recently did an interview with somebody and they weren't sure of a couple of the words that were being asked. Ask. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification and not just make a misunderstanding. You want to make sure you're answering the right question. Confirm the next steps and thank the interviewer at the end is always a good one. I'll add, make sure you have questions prepared. You need to ask a question of the interviewer. They want you to ask a question. So, you can't have 10. We unfortunately don't have time for all that, but try to think of one really good question, maybe two, just as a backup in case something was answered, but you definitely want to have that. And then following up. So you definitely want to, within 24 hours of the interview, send an individual thank you note to everyone that you met in the interview. Not only will it show that you valued their time, but it also provides you with an opportunity to resell yourself, have another touch point, get yourself back in their minds and express the unique strengths that you bring to the role, or share any talking points that you forgot to address in the actual interview. If there was something specific that you bonded over, I would definitely mention that in the email if you have that connection. It'll help you stay top of mind. Or if an interview brought up a particular business challenge, use the follow-up as a way to propose potential solutions. Just keep in mind in an email, keep it concise. Again, you're not looking to send a novel here. Keep it simple. And you may want to note or leave a lasting impression that's not necessarily going to just end up in the trash bin, which can always be a challenge. So on to the next slide. Closing out the interview strong. One of the best ways to leave a lasting impression is to come prepared with questions, like I mentioned at the end there. Relevant about either the company, the job, the hiring manager. Ask a really tight and smart question. You should have this prepared kind of in advance. It shouldn't be something you're coming up with on the top of your head. You don't want to ask a question which shows that it's just a question you're asking because it's part of the process. Like, really try to think of something impactful that you really want to know, or that you think would provide value. Sincerely thank the interviewers for their time, confirm your interest in the position, understand what the next steps are. That's a good question to add as well. Usually the hiring manager will tell you what the next steps are. And then remember, finishing the interview strong is just as important as your first impression. So you want to go consistent all the way through if you can, but you definitely want to start strong and end strong. Use this as a time to make it extra clear that you're not just looking for the job. Instead, you're serious and determined about adding value to the organization. And you're motivated to make a positive impact. If you're applying for a customer service role, show them how much you love, helping clients and customers. And believe me when I say that it does make a difference. The impressions that you guys make, even on a video call, the hiring manager will remember for sure. So hopefully there's some good tips for rocking your interview. I mean, obviously Nazanin did a great job because she's here. But they're really interesting, and it is kind of the way that it is moving forward. So hopefully some good tips. Back to you, Naz.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for providing those wonderful tips on, what to do during the interview, before the interview. It's great to be really, really prepared. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest speaker today. Not only did he bring everything that Naz and Jeff talked about, he brought it to life, and he's so successful with it that he attained his first job in Canada as soon as he landed. And I remember when I initially met him, I was like, wow, this guy is so impressive. I can't wait to have him as a guest speaker on one of our events. And here he is today. So without further ado, I want to hand it over to Abdulani Lawan, and over to you, Abdul.
Hello, everyone. Good day to you. So as my kind panelists have mentioned, I'm very glad to be here today, just to share my experience and hopefully help one or two people achieve their Canadian dreams and come and live up to their full potentials when they get here. I'm a Nigerian national and also now a permanent resident here in Canada. I arrived very early in February 8th. It was quite cold compared to how it was now, so it was really something at the beginning. From an educational perspective, I have a similar profile as most of you would have right now. I graduated from a university in suburb in Nigeria, University of Ilorin, Kwara State in 2012. And I've been in the accounting background right from time. So I became a chartered accountant the year after that. And then over time, I've worked in several industries, financial services, international development, non-for-profit. Before I came to Canada, I used to work for the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in Abuja, Nigeria, as the finance manager. And then that was pretty much before I came here. And then I immigrated into Canada in February 2021. And I think I got my first email for the interview I attended as soon as I landed in my Airbnb apartment that same day. And it came as a shock to me, or a big surprise, because that was my first day in Canada, and I received an interview email that same day as well. So it was a good experience. So I went ahead to join the company that same month, actually, just as I was finishing quarantine, and I started with them on February 24. So just to highlight as well that you do not need to arrive here before you start this process. I mean, you can start it from wherever you are right now, and with time, everything's going to take shape. But do not wait till you get to Canada before you start looking for a job, right? So that's really pretty much my advice for people. I mean, the preparation starts, the earlier you start, the better for you. And then also, I also became a member of the CPA body here in Ontario as well, where I stay. That happened this month. Also to highlight that it's important to continue to gather skills. It doesn't end when you get a job. I mean, it's important that you keep integrating yourself with the community by getting advancing in any certification you find in your field of expertise that is relevant to your work. Okay, just some fun facts about me as well. I'm a movie fan. I like to watch horror movies a lot. And yeah, I also like adventures. So you would see me sign up for things like skydiving, scuba diving, roller coaster ride, and a couple of other things. Just basically when I have my leisure time, these are the things I like to do. So yeah, more importantly, I would like to just take you through a few points I think will be relevant in the next slide. So I don't know. Okay, yeah, here. All right. So this is basically a very short submission of how my own experience went immigrating to Canada. Some of the previous panelists like Jeff and Ria and Nazanin has covered some points, so I'll not dwell much on it, but I'll try to concentrate on the most important points, which I think will be relevant to any newcomer here in Canada. I'll just try to go through them real quick because I know that there's going to be a bit of time constraint here. First stage, I think, just also mention that you don't view anything I say as negative because all this is just intending to prepare us for the journey. So it's just a realistic perception why I think we should all be prepared for when we are coming to Canada. First thing is the mental preparation, which I think is very, very important. And I think the challenge for many people is the expectation and reality does not actually match when it comes to Canada. So you have this view of Canada in your head. Like it's a place where, I mean, when you get to the airport, there's somebody working with a job offer with a 6 months, 6-figure salary in the airport waiting for you to give you that. And everything is just going to be very, very easy. No, actually, that's not the way it is. I mean, just like every developed country in the world, you need to really work hard to to get whatever you get at the end of the day. So you need to put in a lot of effort to get the desired mentality. I've heard of situations where people come in and the first few months are rough, and some of them even want to go back to their country at some point. But the key to fight this is to just be mentally prepared that you have to work hard, and for you to get where you want to get to, you need to be mentally prepared for it. So that is very, very important. Then I also want to encourage us to make use of the pre-arrival services. Once you get your visa, the immigration authorities usually make available some very important tools that would help you to integration here in Canada, just in case you want to learn French or you want to learn how to file your taxes, you want to learn how to, even apply for jobs or basic things that you need to know about society. These pre-arrival services kind of helps. So I would encourage everyone to take advantage of them. While I was coming here, there were really some very good ones that help. I mean, I think they do it. It varies with different provinces. So depending on the provinces you want to settle in, there's definitely a pre-arrival services that will be of help to you. So it's very, very important that you use them. And then I also want to emphasize on the fact that you need a lot of money when you come to Canada. I mean, if the Canadian authorities tell you to bring $14,000 or $15,000, it's very important that you bring this money because you don't want to find yourself where you're under pressure, to get a job when you arrive and you kind of lose focus because you just want to do anything to survive. So to help that, I think it's important that you come with good funds that would see you through some good time. I mean, when you face the initial difficulty, you're able to have, at least you have money to pay bills because, obviously bills will not stop coming. So it's important that you bring your POF It's it's good. It's going to help you. And just like I think Nazanin mentioned about joining community groups where possible, there are many of them on Telegram and WhatsApp. As a matter of fact, I think the link for the job I got was through a WhatsApp community group. And what happens on this group is that people just share their experiences, really. And, everyone is on the same shoes, and we're all trying to come to Canada, or we've just arrived in Canada, and everyone is just speaking about their experiences, about job search and everything. And somebody comes across a good job and posts it on the group, and you see it, and you are qualified for that role, and you just put in your application. Maybe the person is qualified or is about to apply, and maybe it's not qualified as well, but you just put it out there for people to just see, and you see them are like, oh, I can actually do this. Let me just apply for this role, and you apply for it, and you never know where that will come. So it helps when you can come, when you can meet with people of your community through social media, and try and interact with them. And it's very important that you build your networks as well. So you never know who will be available to give you a referral that you need to get a job. So it's important that you build that community. So for the job search tools, I would say having an updated CV is very, very important. And in the resume format that is prescribed that is well acceptable in Canada. So there are a couple of examples online where you can find Canada resume format. The basic information you need to have available. I know that the standard varies from country to country. So you find one resume format not acceptable in some other climate. So it's important that you familiarize yourself with the format that is good here in Canada. I mean, these are the things that you should do while you are still at home, not even wait till you come to Canada. I mean, it's on everything you need is available online, and they are for free. So you can download some of these resume formats and just adapt them to your own. These are things that I also did. Of course, we cannot overemphasize the importance of LinkedIn. It's a very good job connection application that you need to have, and you need to be constant on them. You need to update your LinkedIn profile to reflect what you want to do in Canada, and then you want to have some bit of consistency between what is on your CV and what is on your LinkedIn profile as well. So these are very, very important to have. It's very important that you have quality information on your LinkedIn. Highlight all the skills and experiences you have, no matter how irrelevant you think it is. It's better to put it there, and you cannot have more information on your LinkedIn. As the last speaker said, you cannot have too much information. You're not limited by space on LinkedIn. So that's it. So please put in as much information as you can on LinkedIn. Very, very important. They're registering with recruitment organizations as well. In fact, I still get some of them reach out to me till today, telling people that this recruitment organization just make things easy for you. They help you. They partner with organizations to recruit people, contract and full-time positions. So if you register with them, they have your information on your database, and when a role comes up that fits your profile, they help you to do that as well. I mean, these are things that I also did. I mean, I registered with a few of the organizations, and yeah, I got good results from them, even though I didn't accept any offer that came from them. But I mean, they were offers that I might have accepted if the situation was a bit different. But it's important to join these groups as well. Attending job seminars, and definitely they're going to come up. So whenever they come up, they are going to you need to be aware of them and attend. I mean, I attended the job seminar as well before I came here, and that was where I learned about the Canadian market and how it works here, really. So we know that Canadian employers, they like specialty a lot, really. So they want to employ people that are the closest match to what the job requirement is. So it's better you apply for the jobs where you have the greater strengths first before you apply for the other ones. So if you qualify for a job based on the parameters, try to apply for those jobs first, because the closer you are to the requirements of the job, the better your chances are. So this is something that definitely was a good takeaway for me, and it kind of helped me shape out my job application process. Because I mean, when you go on job sites, there are many jobs there, right? So you can filter through based on where your interest is. I mean, where your strength lies. That means your years of experience, where do they lie? Then apply for those jobs first. And once you do, you stand a better chance of getting an interview from those jobs, just because of the mere fact that that's where your strength lies. Then yeah, finding a job, referrals is very, 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 very important. As the past speaker said, 70% of roles are filled through referrals. That is very, very, very true. It's very important to build a network before you can have referrals. So you want to probably be looking at your contacts to see if you have friends working in Canada or previous colleagues, that you can connect with and, ask for referrals. The employers would rather take a chance on you if somebody in the organization can vouch for you, right? So if somebody knows you and can say, oh, this guy is fantastic, I worked with him back in Nigeria on something, and he's good at his job, you stand a better chance. I mean, it speaks well for you. So referrals are very important. So do whatever you can to build referrals. And whenever you're applying for a role as well, it's important to look through your connections to see if you have somebody working in that role, or if you have somebody that knows someone that's working in that role as well, and that company as well. So it helps you to build career. If you have a referrals, the better your chances of getting the job. Yeah, as I said earlier, you need to apply for roles that match your job experience. It's very, very important. And start with that at least, then you can move on to other roles later on. When necessary too, you upskill. I started upskilling while I was at home as well. I knew that the CPA was a big thing in the accounting profession here in Canada, so I began to write the exams back home. And yeah, I was able to finish it just before I came here. So it's important that you have it in mind that you need skills wherever you're going to work. So please try to upskill where necessary. Of course, apply for as many roles as you can. I don't know about, because you didn't school here in Canada, you don't have work experience here in Canada. I mean, some employers will be very skeptical about your CV, but then there will be some that are willing to take the chance on you. So the more jobs you apply for, the more chances you need that one or two people will be interested in working with a foreigner who is a newcomer in Canada. So yeah, it's very important that you cover as much ground as possible. Apply for many jobs. Job search is a full-time job itself. So it's better you cover as much grounds as you can. It's very, very important you do that. About acing interviews, basically what most of what Jeff has already said. I mean, speaking boldly, providing assurance. Your interview has to be of a good background. Your dressing has to be very professional. The first thing that my interviewer said to me was, I see you don't have any Canadian experience. So that was the first question. I see you don't have any Canadian experience. How do you think you're going to perform on this job? And I started to give them examples of times where I've worked in different backgrounds and settings in the past, and how I was able to cope with learning a new environment, learning new stuff. And yeah, they were pretty impressed with that. And they were able to look past that and concentrate on other things as well. Also, another thing that will help you with this is highlighting your relevant skills and experience for the job. So if they want someone that has these, you have to prove that yes, whatever problems they have, you have solutions that will help them. So yeah, it helps you to highlight everything you have on your about the job. That would be helpful. Very, very important. Very important to also research about the company. I'm sure that every company has their own problems. If there were no problems, they will not need people to work for the organization. So you have to research about the company, and then whatever they say is not totally new to you. You need to speak on how you can add value to their company and what you are capable of doing, what you've done in the past. Where necessary, you can cite real life examples, because that's what they want to hear, that you've dealt with things like this in the past. Very, very important that you do this, and then maybe you're able to persuade them that you are for the role. Last thing is to be very enthusiastic as well. You need to demonstrate willingness to learn and contribute. Very important as well. If you're happy about the job, by asking questions, very important questions, they know that you are enthusiastic about becoming part of the organization. And
thank you so much, Abdul, for the great presentation. It's about 12 o'clock. So we actually started a little bit late. So thank you again so much for the great presentation. So Sonia, I don't know how much time we have. Can we go over 12 o'clock to answer some of the questions in the chat box?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so we had a kind of panel discussion with Ria, but because of the timing, so we're going to get right to the Q&A. So let's see. The first question is how I can how I can boost my networking through this COVID-19 situation. So again, that's a very good question because like networking, as I just discussed, is one of the job search strategies and is really important in order to increase your chance to get the interview. And I know it's a COVID-19, but we leverage so many like virtual webinars. So I would suggest you to like today, like how you just start, networking and start your connection, right? By just joining the webinar. So there's so many, Zoom or other platforms, webinars you can join. There are so many like community involvement. So I know it's still is not in person, but you also can join those. And also, I just mentioned, just join the groups in the LinkedIn. So there's so many groups in the LinkedIn about like the job search groups, about alumni group. So that's another way that you can basically improve or boost your networking still during the COVID. All right. So the next question is that is there a limit, a time limit to send the follow-up emails after the interview? So again, this is a very great question. So I would say that a week, I would say I would like to give myself at least 1 week. So I think that's a pretty standard from my experience. You need to give the recruiter enough time to review and to review your application and review other candidates. Depends on how many other candidates there are. So this is usually takes time, and sometimes they need to talk to existing reporting managers before to come up with a decision. So I would say like 1 week. So you can send a thank you letter up to 24 hours, but give it 1 week to follow up. You can send a follow-up emails. So Ria, just feel free if you want to add anything to it. All right, so the next question. So would it be possible to share some questions to ask the interviewers after an interview? Thank you again for the very great question. So as just Jeff discussed, having a smart question prepared in advance is a good way that you show that you're motivated. So it's important that what type of question you ask, and it shows also you've done your homework. So when they ask you like, what is your question? So you have to ask a smart question that shows your motivation as well. Like you can just ask, for example, how will my performance be evaluated, or like what does the training process looks like, for example, or like what are the next steps in the process, and like questions like this, something that is shows your interest and motivation. All right, so another question. So I see there are 2 questions that I can combine in one, is asking about working at a bank. So one question is that I have an open work permit and I'm in the GTA. I do have a lot of gap from my work. And then I would like to, is there any problem to get to as a customer service job at the bank as a part-time? And I have another question saying that I have not worked in the bank and want to take it as a career. So these are very, very common questions. And I would like to share with you that the answer is that you really do not have to have a banking or Canadian banking experience in order to work as a customer service or work at a bank when you just came to Canada, or let's say if you just graduated from the schools, because what we are looking for is for transferable skills. Like even if you do not have a banking experience, but you still can focus on your transferable skills. And, of course, if you had a previous banking experience in your country, this would be an asset. But even without that, you definitely can be a good candidate. You don't need to have a Canadian banking experience. And again, we are looking for people that have passion for helping other people and, helping clients and community. And you just need to focus on your transferable skills. All right, so perfect. So we have another question. So I found Abdullahi's discussion very strong and informative. Thank you so much for that. So will another presentation be scheduled so we can benefit from Ria's advice? Yes, we definitely can set up another schedule. So another meeting. So maybe Sonia can help with that, and she will also talk about the upcoming events. Sonia, we have still more questions. I don't know how much time you have, or maybe we can share our slides, like our contact information for myself and Ria, and maybe they can reach out to us. So I know, Sonia, there are other upcoming events and you're gonna talk about it. Maybe I just pass the time over to you.
Thank you so much, everyone there at RBC. I know we're running a little bit off time, but if you do have any questions, you've got this information in front of you on the screen. You are more than welcome to get in touch with the team here. And if anything, you can always email us at ACCES Employment as well. And I will quickly just let you know what the next webinar is coming up. It's called My Journey. Newcomers will share their Canadian career stories, and this is a little bit more focused on the professionals in the HR field for training and development, and that's happening on Thursday. And again, if anyone's interested in getting started with your job search, please call your closest ACCES location, and someone can start helping you right away. And if you are pre-arrival, if you are on your way to Canada, you can email cec@accessemployment.ca to see if you'd be eligible for any of these programs before you arrive. And we are very active on our social media, so please follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you so much to the RBC team, and we apologize again with the tech issues this morning. Is there anything you'd like to add before we sign off today?
Thank you, Sonia. I would actually like to say a special thank you to Abdul. You know, he highlighted really key points, you know, really important things that, you know, worked for him. And he brought essentially what Jeff and Naz discussed, and it brought it to life. So the information that we're providing today is information that we've gathered from our HR representatives, because we do have a lot of events with our HR team. So this is just information that we're sort of presenting to the public that we've gathered ourselves. And to see that and hear that coming to life from Abdul, it's just breathtaking. So I'm really, really happy to have you here, Abdul, and thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Ria. Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great day ahead.